On a shattered moon orbiting a dying red giant, Kira Ellis crouched low behind a twisted spar of metal that once held up a research dome. The air was thin, barely enough to breathe, but her suit recycled every molecule with quiet efficiency. Outside, silence ruled. Not the peaceful kind, but the heavy, waiting kind that comes after war has passed through and left only bones behind. The moon had no name anymore. The Terran Alliance called it Outpost Theta 7. The Krell Hive called it nothing at all. They did not name things they meant to consume. Kira was alone. Her squad had been wiped out 3 days ago during a recon sweep near the Equatorial Trench. She had survived by hiding in a collapsed coolant pipe, listening to the wet crunch of Krell mandibles tearing through armor and bone. She did not cry. She did not scream. She waited, and when the Krell moved on, drawn by some distant signal, she crawled out covered in frost and blood that was not hers. Now she watched. Her mission was simple: observe, report, survive. No engagement. No heroics. Just eyes and ears for command. But something had changed in the last 12 hours. Strange energy readings pulsed from the central ruins where the old xenolinguistics lab used to stand. The Krell had avoided that sector completely. That alone made it dangerous. The Krell feared nothing except silence, and this place had been silent for too long. Through her thermal scope, the world glowed in shades of orange and black. Heat signatures flickered at the edge of range. Not Krell. Too smooth, too tall. She adjusted the magnification. Her breath hitched. A woman walked across the broken hull of the station, barefoot, wearing a gown that shimmered like oil on water. Her hair fell past her waist, silver white, catching the dim light of the red giant-like strands of captured starlight. Her skin glowed faintly, not with heat, but with something else, something that made the air around her ripple like water under moonlight. She moved without sound, without effort, as if the vacuum were a garden path and the jagged metal beneath her feet were soft grass. Kira had seen many things in this war. Hive queens with eyes like shattered glass, Krell biotanks oozing half-formed soldiers, even the ghost ships of the vanished Virex civilization, drifting in dead orbits. But this was different. This felt old. Older than the war. Older than humanity. And then she saw the dragon. It lay coiled around the base of a fallen antenna tower, its scales black as void, yet shimmering with veins of blue and gold that pulsed like slow heartbeats. Its wings were folded tight against its body, each membrane lined with filaments that sparked with static. Its head rested on its foreclaws, eyes closed. But Kira knew it was not sleeping. Nothing that large stayed still unless it chose to. The woman stopped walking. She tilted her head slightly as if listening to a song only she could hear. Then she turned slowly and looked directly at the ridge where Kira hid. Kira froze. Her scope had no active emissions. Her suit ran cold. No thermal bloom, no signal. There was no way the woman could see her. Yet those eyes, deep, fractured like galaxies seen through cracked ice, locked onto her position with impossible precision. A whisper escaped Kira's lips before she could stop it. "She's the most beautiful being I've ever seen." The moment the words left her mouth, the dragon's eyes snapped open. They were not animal eyes, not reptilian. They held intelligence, ancient and sharp. They burned with a light that had no source yet filled the space between them like a held breath. The dragon did not roar. It did not rise. It simply stared. And in that stare, Kira felt something break inside her. Not fear, not awe, but recognition. As if her soul had known this creature long before her body was born. The woman smiled, just a small lift at the corner of her lips. Then she raised one hand, palm open, not in threat but in invitation. Kira's calm crackled softly in her ear, static, then a voice. "Ellis, do you copy? This is command. We are reading an energy surge at your location. Repeat. Do you see anything?" She did not answer. She could not. Her throat was dry. Her hands trembled on the scope. She watched as the woman took a step forward. Then another, moving toward her ridge with calm certainty. The dragon uncoiled itself in one fluid motion, rising to its full height. It was larger than a dropship. Its tail curled once, stirring dust that floated in slow arcs. Kira knew she should run. She should activate her emergency beacon and pray a shuttle could extract her before the Krell or whatever this was caught her. But her legs would not move. Something in her refused to flee. It was not bravery. It was something deeper, a pull, a memory she did not have. The woman reached the base of the ridge. She looked up. Her eyes met Kira's through the scope, and in that moment Kira saw not a stranger but a mirror, a reflection of what humanity could become if it survived. If it chose wonder over war, the dragon lowered its head, bringing one massive eye level with Kira's position. It blinked once, slowly. Then it exhaled, a soft stream of vapor that glowed faintly blue before dissipating into the thin air. Kira lowered her scope. She stood, slowly, carefully. She deactivated her weapon's safety not to fire but to show she was armed. A gesture of honesty, not hostility. The woman nodded, as if she understood. From her belt, Kira pulled a small data chip, the last recording from her squad. Images of the Krell's new weapon, a sonic drill that liquefied bone from the inside. She held it out, not throwing it. Just offering. The woman extended her hand. The chip floated from Kira's palm and drifted down to her, guided by no visible force. She examined it, then tucked it into the folds of her gown. "Thank you," the woman said. Her voice was soft, melodic, yet carried perfectly in the thin air. It did not come through the comm. It came directly into Kira's mind, clear as if spoken beside her ear. "Who are you?" Kira asked, her voice rough from days of silence. "I am Lyra," the woman replied. "And this is Vaith. He's been waiting for someone like you." "Waiting for what? For someone who sees beauty before danger, who whispers before shooting. The war has made your kind sharp, but not blind. Not all of you." Kira swallowed. "The Krell are coming back. They felt the energy spike. They will swarm this place." Lyra looked toward the horizon where dark shapes already gathered in the distance. Krell skiffs, low and jagged, skimming the surface like insects. They moved fast. Hungry. "They do not come for me," Lyra said. "They come for what lies beneath us, and they will not stop until it is theirs or destroyed." "What is beneath us?" "The beginning," Lyra said simply, "and possibly the end." Vaith shifted, his massive body turning to face the approaching swarm. His scales darkened, absorbing light. The veins along his spine brightened, pulsing faster. "You should go," Lyra said, but Kira shook her head. "I've seen what the Krell do. If they get whatever is down there, they'll turn it into a weapon. I can't let that happen. You cannot stop them alone." "Maybe not, but I can buy you time." Lyra studied her for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Very well, but do not die for time. Die only for meaning." Kira activated her wrist display. She pulled up the station's old schematics. There was a maintenance shaft 20 meters east, collapsed but passable for someone small. It led to the sub-level labs. If she could draw the Krell away, Lyra and Vaith might reach the core chamber unseen. She moved fast, sliding down the ridge on her belly, keeping low. Lyra did not follow. She stood with Vaith, a silent pair against the growing storm of Krell engines. As Kira reached the shaft, she glanced back. The first skiff landed 50 meters away. Krell poured out, tall, chitinous, their limbs ending in bone blades. They moved in perfect sync. No sound but the scrape of carapace on metal. Then Vaith roared. It was not a sound of air and noise. It was a vibration that shook the ground, that made Kira's teeth rattle even from a distance. The Krell staggered. Some dropped to their knees, clutching their heads. Their hivelink flickered. For the first time, they were confused. Lyra raised both hands. Light gathered around her, swirling like liquid silver. She spoke no words, but the air hummed with power. The ruins around her began to glow, faint at first, then brighter, as if waking from a long sleep. Kira slipped into the shaft just as the first plasma bolt seared the air above her. She crawled through darkness, guided only by her suit lights. Behind her, the battle began, not with explosions, but with silence. A silence so deep it felt like the universe holding its breath. She did not know if Lyra and Vaith would survive. She did not know what lay beneath the moon. But for the first time in years, Kira felt hope. Not the desperate kind that clings to survival, but the quiet kind that believes in something greater. And as she crawled deeper into the earth, she whispered again, so softly no one could hear, "She's the most beautiful being I've ever seen." Somewhere above, in the ruins of a dead world, a dragon spread its wings and faced the storm, and a woman made of starlight smiled. Knowing she had been seen, truly seen, that was enough, for now. Ira awoke to soft light and the scent of ozone. Her head throbbed, her limbs heavy as if filled with lead. She lay on a smooth surface that felt like glass but gave slightly under her weight. Like skin. The air was warm, breathable, and carried a faint hum that vibrated in her bones. She sat up slowly, wincing. Her suit was intact, but the outer layer was scorched along the left arm. She remembered the plasma bolt, The crawl through the shaft, the roar that shook the moon, then nothing. She was not in the maintenance tunnel anymore. The chamber around her was circular, its walls lined with veins of glowing crystal that pulsed in slow rhythm. There were no doors, no visible exits. Yet she did not feel trapped. The space felt alive, watching but not threatening. In the center of the room, Lyra stood with her back turned, one hand resting on Vaith's snout. The dragon lay curled on the floor, his scales dimmer than before, his breathing slow and deep. He had fought hard, too hard. "You are awake," Lyra said without turning. Her voice came not through sound but through thought, clear and calm in Kira's mind. "Where am I?" Kira asked, her voice hoarse. "Safe," Lyra replied. "For now." The Krell have pulled back. They do not understand what they faced. Confusion is a rare gift against a hive mind. Kira stood, testing her balance. It held. She walked toward them, stopping a few paces away. "You saved me." "I did not save you," Lyra said, finally turning. "Your choice saved you. You stayed when you could have run. You offered truth instead of fear. That is rare, even among your kind." Kira looked at Vaith. "Is he okay? He is tired, not broken. He gave much to shield this place, more than he should have. But he would do it again. He always does." "Why did you bring me here? Because you saw me," Lyra said. "Not as a weapon. Not as a ghost. As a being. That matters more than you know." Kira frowned. "I still do not understand who you are, or what this place is." Lyra gestured to the walls. "This moon was not built by your people, nor by the Krell. It was a way station, a library, a tomb, created by the first ones, the first minds to rise from the dark after the birth of stars. They did not conquer. They observed. They preserved. They believed all life carried a spark worth protecting. And you am their last echo," Lyra said. "Not their child, not their god. Their memory. I was placed here in stasis, bound to Vaith to guard what they left behind. For 10 million years I slept, until the Krell dug too deep. Until they awakened the silence. The silence, a weapon they do not understand," Lyra explained. "It is not fire or steel. It is absence. It unravels thought. It erases connection. The Krell hive mind is strong but fragile. One thread pulled, and the whole web collapses. They feel it calling. They think it is power. It is not. It is end." Kira's blood ran cold. "And if they get it, they will not survive its touch. But in their death throes, they will broadcast its frequency across every link they own, every hive ship, every colony, every enslaved species. It will spread like a plague of nothingness. And your alliance will not be spared. You are linked too. Through your networks, your ships, your minds. You share data, dreams, fears. You are vulnerable. So this is not just their war," Kira said. "No," Lyra said. "It never was." Kira paced the chamber, her mind racing. "Command thinks this moon is a Krell stronghold. They are preparing a strike, a planet cracker. They will vaporize the entire surface." Lyra's eyes dimmed. "Then they will destroy the lock before the key is turned. The silence must be contained, not shattered. If the core is ruptured, its effect will not be focused. It will bloom. And bloom means extinction." "We have to stop them," Kira said. "How?" Lyra asked. "Your people do not trust strangers, especially not ones who walk barefoot on metal and speak without sound. I can send a message, a burst transmission. My suit has a direct line to Fleet Command. They will listen to me. I am the only scout left. They will call it deception," Lyra said. "The Krell mimic voices. They steal faces. Your command has been burned before. Then I will give them proof," Kira said. She tapped her wrist display. "I recorded everything. The energy surge. Your light. Faith's roar. It is all here. Raw data. Unedited. They can verify it." Lyra studied her. "And if they still do not believe you, then I will stand in front of that missile myself," Kira said. "Do not speak lightly of death," Lyra warned. "It is not noble. It is final." "I am not speaking lightly," Kira said. "I have seen what war does. I have held dying friends who begged for it to stop. If there is a chance, any chance, to end this without more graves, I will take it." For a long moment, Lyra was silent. Then she nodded. "Very well. Send your message. But know this, if they fire, I will not hide. I will meet the fire, and Vaith will meet it with me." Kira activated her comm. The system flickered, then connected. Static hissed, then cleared. Ellis to Fleet Command. Do you copy? A voice crackled back. Ellis, is that you? We thought you were dead. I am alive. Barely. Listen carefully. Do not launch the planet cracker. Repeat, do not launch. Why not? The moon is crawling with Krell signatures. It is not a Krell base. It is something else. Something older. There is a being here, Lyra. She is not enemy. She is trying to stop the real threat. The silence. If you destroy this place, you unleash it. Silence, Ellis. You are compromised. We have intel that the Krell are using neural mimicry. They are speaking through you. No, they are not. Look at my data stream. Analyze the energy patterns. They do not match Krell biosignatures. They are unknown, ancient, non-hostile. We cannot risk it. The order stands. Missile launches in 90 minutes. Kira's heart sank. Wait, please. Just send a science team. One shuttle. I will meet them at the North Ridge. Negative. All assets are committed. Theta 7 is to be sterilized. That is final. The comm cut out. Kira lowered her arm. They are not listening. I expected no less, Lyra said. Fear speaks louder than reason in times of war. What do we do now? We prepare, Lyra said. If they send fire, we will answer with light. She walked to the center of the chamber and placed both hands on the floor. The crystals brightened. The hum deepened. The walls shimmered, revealing hidden panels that slid open to reveal consoles of living metal. Symbols glowed. None that Kira recognized, yet somehow she understood their meaning. Shield. Focus. Recall. Vaith lifted his head. His eyes met Kira's. In them, she saw not just intelligence, but sorrow. He knew what was coming. Can you stop a planet cracker? Kira asked. Not stop, Lyra said. Redirect. Absorb. But it will cost. How much? Everything, Lyra said simply. Kira looked at her. You would die. I am already a memory, Lyra said. But Vaith, he is real. He feels. He loves. And if he flies into that fire, he may not return. Then do not send him, Kira said. I do not command him, Lyra said. He chooses, as you chose to stay? As if hearing her, Vaith rose. His wings unfurled, casting long shadows that danced on the walls. He walked to Lyra and nudged her gently with his snout. Then he looked at Kira and gave a low, rumbling sound. Not a growl, but a kind of purr. He is ready, Lyra said. Kira's eyes stung. She wiped them quickly. Is there no other way? There is always another way, Lyra said. But time is not kind to the desperate. Kira thought fast. What if we move the core? Can we take it off the moon? The core is the moon, Lyra explained. It is not an object. It is a presence, woven into the stone, the air, the gravity. To remove it would be to kill it. And without it, the silence has no cage. So we are trapped. No, Lyra said. We are anchored. There is a difference. She stepped toward Kira and placed a hand on her forehead. Kira flinched, but the touch was cool, soothing. Images flooded her mind, not words, but feelings. Stars being born, civilizations rising and falling like tides, a great song sung across galaxies, and beneath it all a single note of warning, the silence. You carry it now, Lyra said. The memory. If we fall, you must tell them. Not as a report. As a story. Stories survive when data dies. Kira nodded, tears finally falling. I will. Good, Lyra said. Now help me prepare Vaith. Together they worked. Kira used her suit tools to calibrate energy conduits while Lyra wove light into patterns that stabilized Vaith's form. The dragon stood patiently, his massive body humming with building power. His scales began to glow from within, veins of gold and blue burning brighter with every passing minute. Outside, the sky darkened, not from clouds but from the shadow of the Alliance dreadnought moving into position. The missile would launch soon. Kira climbed onto Vaith's back, helped by Lyra's gentle guidance. The dragon's spine had ridges that fit her legs perfectly, as if made for her. She gripped one of the forward spines, her heart pounding. You do not have to come, Lyra said. Yes, I do, Kira replied. Someone has to witness this. Someone has to remember how you looked when you faced the end. Lyra smiled. Then hold on. Vaith launched. The chamber roof parted silently, revealing the bruised sky of the dying system. The red giant loomed large, casting long shadows across the broken surface. Below, Krell skiffs circled like vultures, waiting. They had not left. They knew something was coming. Vaith shot upward, faster than any ship Kira had ever ridden. The air screamed past her helmet, but she felt no wind, only a bubble of calm around them woven by Lyra's will. They broke orbit in seconds. There, Lyra said, pointing. In the distance, a streak of fire arced toward the moon, the planet cracker. A city killer, designed to crack worlds open like eggs. Faith roared, not in anger but in challenge. He banked hard, intercepting the missile's path. As they closed in, Kira saw the warhead's sensors activate, locking onto the dragon's massive heat signature. Too late. Faith opened his maw. Kira ran through the canyon, her boots kicking up clouds of fine gray dust that hung in the air like smoke. Behind her, Faith lay still, his massive chest rising and falling in shallow rhythm. Lyra knelt beside him, her form flickering like a candle in wind. Kira wanted to stop, to turn back, to carry them both if she could. But she knew Lyra was right. Time was bleeding away and the core chamber was their only hope. The ruins loomed ahead, half buried in the moon's crust, their spires broken but still proud. The entrance she remembered from the schematics was there, a jagged hole in the side of a collapsed dome, barely wide enough for one person. She slid inside, her suit lights cutting through the darkness. The tunnel sloped downward, the walls smooth and cool to the touch. They were not metal, not stone, but something in between, alive in a way she could not explain. Faint pulses of light traveled along the surface, like slow heartbeats echoing through stone. She followed them, trusting the rhythm. Her mind raced. What would she find in the core chamber? Could it heal Lyra and Faith, or was it just another relic of a dead civilization with no power left to give? She did not know, but she had seen enough to believe. Lyra was not lying. Faith was not a myth. This place was real, and so was the danger. She reached a junction. 3 paths branched off. The pulses of light flowed strongest down the center one. She took it. The air grew warmer. The hum in her bones returned, stronger now. It vibrated in her teeth, in her skull. She felt watched, not by eyes but by presence. Ancient, patient, waiting. Then she heard it. A low growl, wet and guttural, echoed from ahead. Not Faith. Something else. She drew her sidearm, the only weapon she had left. The safety clicked off with a soft snick. Around the next bend, the tunnel opened into a wide chamber, and there they were. Krell. Not the mindless drones she had fought before. These were different. Taller. Twisted. Their carapaces fused with metal and glass, wires snaking from their spines into the walls. Their eyes glowed red, but not with hive light, with rage. They had been here a long time. Digging. Tearing. Trying to reach what lay below. They turned as one when she entered. Kira did not hesitate. She fired. The plasma rounds tore through the first Krell's chest, but it did not fall. It staggered, then kept coming. The others charged. She backed up, firing in controlled bursts. One Krell dropped, its head shattered. Another lost an arm, but kept moving. They were faster than normal. Stronger. Driven by something deeper than hive instinct. She ran. They followed, their claws scraping against the walls. She ducked into a side passage, then another, using the maze of tunnels to lose them. Her breath came in ragged gasps. Her suit warned of rising heart rate, oxygen depletion. She ignored it. Finally, she found a narrow shaft leading down. She dropped through it, landing hard on a lower level. The Krell did not follow immediately. Maybe the shaft was too small. Maybe they were waiting. She moved on. The deeper she went, the stronger the hum became. The walls now shimmered with soft light, patterns shifting like liquid thought. She passed murals carved into the stone, scenes of beings with tall, slender forms standing beneath twin suns, guiding ships made of light, planting seeds that bloomed into stars. They were not warriors. They were gardeners of the cosmos. And then she saw it. At the end of the corridor, a doorway stood open. Not a door of wood or metal, but of pure energy. A curtain of silver light that rippled like water. Beyond it, she could see nothing. Only darkness, and a single pulse slow and deep like the breath of a sleeping god. The core chamber. She stepped through. The air changed instantly. Heavier. Richer. Full of something she could not name. The chamber was vast, a sphere carved from black crystal, its ceiling lost in shadow. In the center, suspended in mid-air, floated a sphere of rotating light. It was no bigger than a human head, but it held galaxies within it. Swirls of color, flashes of white fire. Threads of darkness weaving through brightness. It pulsed once as she entered, as if greeting her. Kira approached slowly. The sphere did not react with hostility. It simply watched. She reached out. "Do not touch it yet." The voice came from behind her. She spun, weapon raised. Lyra stood in the doorway, leaning heavily on one hand against the frame. Her form was almost transparent now, her edges blurred. Faith was not with her. "You made it," Kira said, lowering her weapon. "Barely," Lyra replied. "Faith sleeps. His body heals, but slowly. I could not wait." The Krell. They are close. As if on cue, a crash echoed from the tunnel outside. Then another. Metal tearing. Stone breaking. "They found us," Kira said. "Yes," Lyra said. "But they do not understand. The core does not obey force. It obeys truth. What do we do?" "You must speak to it," Lyra said. "Not with words. With memory. Show it why you are here. How think of what you saw, what you felt, when you first saw me, when Vaith roared, when you chose to stay. That is your truth. Offer it." Kira looked at the sphere. It pulsed again, slower this time. Waiting. She closed her eyes. She thought of the ridge, the silver hair, the dragon's eyes opening, the whisper that changed everything. She thought of her squad, their last breaths. She thought of the war, the endless graves, the children on Earth who would never know peace. And she thought of beauty, not as weakness, but as courage. She opened her eyes and stepped forward. The sphere brightened. A tendril of light reached out, brushing her forehead. Images flooded her, not her own, but the core's. She saw the first ones building this place not as a fortress, but as a promise. A vow that life in all its forms deserved a chance. She saw them sealing the silence away, not to destroy it, but to study it, to understand the edge of existence. And she saw them fading one by one until only Lyra remained. The light withdrew. The sphere rotated faster. The chamber hummed louder. The walls lit up with golden veins. "It knows you," Lyra said, awe in her voice. "It accepts you." Before Kira could respond, the doorway exploded inward. Krell poured through, at least 20 of them. Their bodies fused with scavenged tech, their eyes burning with madness. They did not speak. They did not pause. They charged. Kira raised her weapon, but Lyra stopped her. "No. Let the chamber decide." The Krell reached the center of the room and froze. The sphere pulsed once, hard. A wave of force erupted outward, not violent, but absolute. The Krell screamed as their cybernetics shorted out, sparks flying from their spines. Their hive link shattered. For the first time, they were alone. Truly alone. And in that loneliness, they broke. Some fell to their knees, clutching their heads. Others turned on each other, tearing at their own kind in blind panic. The chamber had not killed them. It had given them something worse, self. Kira watched, horrified and fascinated. "They cannot handle it," Lyra said. "The hive mind is all they know. Without it, they are nothing." "What do we do with them?" "We leave them," Lyra said. "The chamber will hold them, until they remember how to be more than machines." Kira turned back to the sphere. Now we heal," Lyra said. She walked to the center and raised her hands. The sphere responded, sending streams of light around her. Her form solidified, color returning to her skin, her hair glowing brighter. But it was not enough. The light flickered. She was still fading. "It needs more," Lyra said through gritted teeth. "Faith's bond is broken." "I'm untethered," Kira understood. Faith was not here. The bond that kept Lyra anchored to this world was stretched too thin. Without thinking, she stepped forward and took Lyra's hand. "Let me help." Lyra looked at her surprised. "You do not know what you offer." "I know enough," Kira said. "You showed me beauty. Let me give you something in return." She closed her eyes and thought of Vaith, his strength, his loyalty, his quiet presence. She thought of the way he looked at Lyra, not as a master, but as a sister, a friend, a home. The sphere pulsed. Light wrapped around them both. Kira felt warmth spread through her chest, not burning, but filling. She felt Lyra's pain, her loneliness, her endless watch, and she gave back hope, memory, witness. For a moment, Lyra was whole again. "Thank you," she whispered. Then the moment passed. The light dimmed. Lyra was stable but weak. The sphere slowed its rotation. "It is not enough," Lyra said. "Not for long. We need Vaith, or the core itself. Can you merge with it?" "I can," Lyra said. But if I do, I will never walk again. I will become part of the moon, part of the song. I will watch but not touch, speak but not hold. Kira looked at her. Is there no other way? There never was, Lyra said. Only choices. Before Kira could respond, the ground shook. A deep rumble echoed through the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling. The Krell prisoners stirred, their eyes wide with new fear. What is that? Kira asked. The moon, Lyra said. It is waking. The core's activation has triggered the defense systems. The moon remembers its purpose. Outside, the sky lit up with streaks of light, crystalline turrets rising from the surface, targeting the remaining Krell ships in orbit. Beams of pure energy lanced out, not destroying but disabling. The Krell fleet scattered, their hive mind in chaos. But the cost was high. The moon's crust cracked in places, vents of glowing gas erupting across the surface. The structure was old. Too old. We do not have much time, Lyra said. The moon will hold for now. But if the Krell return with greater force, it will fall. Then do it, Kira said. Merge with the core. Become its voice. Lyra looked at her. And leave you alone. I am not alone, Kira said. I have your story. And Vaith. And the truth. Lyra smiled, a real smile this time. You are more than a scout, Kira Ellis. You are a bridge. Kira stood in the core chamber, her hand still resting on Vaith's snout. The sphere of light pulsed gently above them, its silver threads swirling like slow rivers of memory. The air hummed with a quiet power. Steady now, no longer strained. Lyra was gone from the world of flesh, but her presence filled the chamber like breath in a room. Kira could feel her, not as a voice, but as a knowing, a warmth behind every pulse of light. Vaith lowered his head further, nudging her shoulder gently. He was whole again, his scales gleaming with renewed energy, his eyes clear and alert. The moon's awakening had healed him, drawing on the same ancient power that now held Lyra. But his gaze held sorrow too. He missed her touch, her nearness, the way she would hum old songs while walking beside him through dead cities. We have to go back, Kira said softly. The surface is not safe yet. Vaith rumbled in agreement. He turned and led the way out of the chamber, his massive body moving with surprising grace through the narrow tunnels. Kira followed, her boots echoing in the silence. The Krell prisoners were gone, vanished into the deeper tunnels, fleeing or hiding. The moon had released them, giving them a chance to choose something other than hive and hunger. As they climbed toward the surface, the walls around them glowed brighter, responding to Vaith's presence. The moon recognized him. He was not just a guardian. He was family. They emerged into daylight, or what passed for it under the red giant's dim glow. The sky was clear of ships. The Krell fleet had scattered, their formation broken by the moon's defense turrets. Below, the ruins lay quiet but changed. Crystalline spires rose from the ground where none had been before, their surfaces reflecting the sky in shifting patterns. The air smelled of ozone and something sweet like blooming stone. Kira activated her wrist display. No signals, no fleet comms, no Krell chatter. Just silence, clean silence. They think we are dead, she said. Perhaps that is good, came a voice in her mind. Lyra's voice, soft and clear, woven into the wind. Kira looked up. The sky shimmered faintly as if watching. You are part of this place now, Kira said. I am, Lyra replied, and you are part of me. Do not forget that. Vaith snorted, a puff of blue vapor curling from his nostrils. He paced in a slow circle, scanning the horizon. His instincts were sharp. He knew peace was fragile. Kira sat on a broken slab of metal, her body aching from days without rest. She closed her eyes just for a moment, but sleep did not come. Instead, memories surfaced. Her squad laughing in the mess hall the first time she saw Earth from orbit. The way her mother used to braid her hair before school. Small things. Human things. Things worth protecting. She opened her eyes. Vaith was watching her. You miss them? He seemed to say. Yes, she whispered. He lowered his head again, offering his back. She understood. He wanted to fly, to show her something. She climbed on, gripping the ridges along his spine. He launched into the sky with a single powerful beat of his wings. The wind rushed past, but the air around them stayed calm, wrapped in the moon's gentle field. They flew over the equatorial trench, where her squad had fallen. The ground was scorched, but new growth already pushed through the ash. tiny silver leaves on black stems glowing faintly. Life returning, they flew higher toward the north ridge, and there, half buried in dust, lay the wreckage of a Krell skiff. But something moved inside. Kira tapped Vaith's neck. Land there. He descended slowly, his claws sinking into the soft regolith. Kira slid off and approached the skiff cautiously. The hatch was torn open from the inside. A figure crawled out, human, wearing a torn Alliance uniform. Ellis, the figure croaked. Kira froze. It was Lieutenant Maura Jones from engineering. She had been on the command shuttle that evacuated before the Krell ambush. Presumed dead. Mara, Kira said, rushing forward. What happened, the shuttle? It went down. Krell hit our engines. I was the only one who made it to an escape pod. Crashed here 2 days ago. I saw the light. The dragon. I thought I was hallucinating. You are not, Kira said, helping her up. This is real. Mara looked at Vaith, her eyes wide with awe and fear. Is that the enemy? No, Kira said. He is the reason we are still alive. Mara leaned on her, weak but breathing. I tried to signal command. No response. They must think we are all gone. They do, Kira said, and maybe that is for the best. She explained everything, the core, Lyra, the silence, the truth behind the war. Mara listened without interrupting, her face growing paler with each word. If this gets out, Mara said finally, Command will send a science team, then a military team, then they will try to weaponize it. I know, Kira said. That is why we cannot let them. So what do we do? Protect it, Kira said. With our lives if we must. Mara looked at the moon around them. The glowing spires, the quiet sky, the dragon standing guard like a statue of old myth. She nodded. I am with you. They returned to the central ruins as dusk fell. Faith curled around them like a living wall. Mara ate nutrient paste from Kira's pack, her strength slowly returning. She was sharp, resourceful, and loyal, exactly the kind of person this secret needed. That night, as the red giant dipped below the horizon, the moon sang. Not with sound, but with light. The crystalline turrets pulsed in unison, sending waves of energy into the void. Not as a weapon, but as a message. A broadcast. Kira felt it in her bones. It was peace. Memory. Warning. The Krell hive, scattered and broken, received it. And for the first time they hesitated. Back on Earth, deep in Alliance Command, Admiral Croft stared at his screen. The Theta 7 feed had gone dark after the missile launch. But now a new signal appeared. Clean, structured, non-hostile. It carried no words, only images. Scenes of the first ones. Of Lyra. Of Vaith shielding the moon. Of Kira standing alone on the ridge. He did not understand it, but he felt it. He ordered all ships to hold position. No more strikes. No more scans. Theta 7 was to be quarantined. Classified level Omega, his officers protested. He silenced them with a single look. Sometimes, he said, silence is the loudest truth. On the moon, Kira stood with Mara and Vaith watching the stars. Do you think they will leave us alone? Mara asked. For a while, Kira said. Long enough. Long enough for what? Long enough for the truth to grow. As if in answer, the core chamber below pulsed warmly. Lyra's presence brushed against Kira's mind, gentle as a breeze. You did well, she seemed to say. Kira smiled. We are just getting started. Vaith lifted his head and roared, a sound not of war but of promise. It echoed across the moon, through the tunnels, into the bones of the dead and the dreams of the living. Far away, on 100 worlds, soldiers paused. Scientists looked up. Children stopped playing. For a moment they all felt it. The whisper of something beautiful, something ancient, something worth protecting. And in that moment, the war began to end. Not with fire, not with victory, but with awe. Kira placed a hand on Vaith's side, feeling the steady beat of his heart. Beside her, Mara stood tall, her eyes fixed on the horizon. Below them, the moon slept and watched, cradling its secret in crystalline light. They were no longer just survivors. They were guardians, and the story was far from over. Weeks passed. The war did not end with a treaty or a surrender. It ended with silence. The Krell hive, fractured by the moon's broadcast, withdrew from Alliance space. Their ships vanished into the dark between stars, not in retreat but in reflection. Something in the signal had touched them. Not as enemies, but as beings who had forgotten their own beginning. They did not speak again. But they did not attack. That was enough. On Earth, the Terran Alliance declared Theta 7 a protected zone. No ships allowed within 1 million kilometers. No scans, no probes. Only a single observation post floated in high orbit, staffed by scientists who watched but did not interfere. They called it the Whisper Moon. They did not know why. The name simply spread, carried on lips and logs and quiet conversations in barracks across the fleet. Kira Ellis was promoted to captain. Medals were offered. Commendations drafted. She refused them all. She did not want honors for what she had seen. Honors turned truth into legend. And this was not a legend. It was real. She returned to the moon alone. Mara Jones stayed behind, assigned to the orbital post. She would be their voice in the system, the one who could say no when others said take. She understood the weight of silence. She would guard it well. Kira landed her shuttle near the North Ridge, the same place where she had first seen Lyra. The ruins had changed. Vines of silver leaf curled around broken metal. Pools of clear water gathered in craters, reflecting the red giant like liquid fire. The air was thick with life. Not loud, not frantic, but steady. Patient. She walked to the center of the ruins and stood where she had crouched that first day. The wind stirred her hair. The ground hummed beneath her boots. "I am here," she said. The air shimmered. Lyra appeared, not as a solid form, but as a figure woven from starlight and memory. Her hair flowed like liquid silver, her eyes deep with galaxies. She wore the same gown, now brighter, threaded with the moon's own light. Beside her, Vaith coiled protectively, his scales gleaming with new constellations that shifted as he breathed. "You came back," Lyra said, her voice soft in Kira's mind. "I told you I would," Kira replied. "You did not have to. I wanted to," Kira said. "I needed to see you. To know you were still here," Lyra smiled. "I am more here than I have ever been. The moon sings with me. The stars listen. I am no longer just a memory. I'm a place." Vaith lowered his head and nudged Kira's hand. She placed her palm on his snout, feeling the warmth beneath the scales. He was stronger now, calmer. He had found his purpose, not just as a guardian, but as a bridge between worlds. "You saved them," Kira said to Lyra. "The Alliance. The Krell." "All of us." "No," Lyra said. "You did. I offered truth. You chose to believe it. That is what changed everything." Kira looked down. "I just whispered." "And that whisper became a song," Lyra said. "Do you know what your people say now when they speak of Theta 7? They do not speak of weapons or strategy. They speak of beauty. Of a woman who walked barefoot on metal. Of a dragon who faced fire and sang it into dust. They tell stories. And stories are how truth survives." Kira's eyes stung. "I did not think it would matter." "It matters more than firepower," Lyra said. "More than borders. More than fear. You saw me not as a threat, but as something worth protecting. That is the heart of humanity. Not your ships. Not your guns. Your awe." They stood in silence for a long time. The red giant dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of rust and gold. The crystalline turrets pulsed gently, their light sinking with Lyra's breath. "What happens now?" Kira asked. "Now," Lyra said, "we watch. We wait. We hope. The universe is vast. There are others out there, some kind, some lost, some hungry. The moon will be ready, and so will you. You are part of this now," Lyra said. "Not by bond, but by choice. When the next scout comes, human or otherwise, you will be here to guide them. To show them that wonder is not weakness, that beauty can be a shield." Kira nodded. "I will." Vaith rumbled softly, a sound like distant thunder. He looked at her with eyes full of trust. She knew then that she would never leave. Not truly. This moon was her home now. As the last light faded, Lyra reached out. Not with a hand, but with a thread of light that brushed Kira's forehead. Memories flowed, not of war, but of peace. Of the first ones planting gardens on dead worlds. Of stars being named for kindness. Of songs sung to calm newborn galaxies. "This is our legacy," Lyra said. "Not destruction. Creation." Kira closed her eyes and held the memory close. When she opened them, Lyra and Vaith were gone, but the air still shimmered, and on the ground at her feet lay a single silver feather. It did not fall. It floated, suspended as if held by invisible hands. She did not pick it up. She left it there. A marker, a promise. Back on Earth, children drew pictures of dragons with starlight wings. Soldiers spoke of the Whisper Moon before battle. Not as a myth, but as a reminder. To look before they fired. to listen before they judged. Scientists studied the signal not to copy it, but to understand its heart. And in quiet rooms, lovers whispered the title line to each other, not as poetry but as truth. On the orbital post, Mara watched the moon through a viewport. She saw the silver feather glowing faintly on the ridge. She smiled. She knew what it meant. Down below, Kira walked through the ruins, her boots silent on the new grass. She passed the core chamber entrance, now sealed with a door of living crystal. She did not need to enter. She could feel Lyra's presence everywhere. In the wind, in the water, in the pulse of the ground. She stopped at the edge of the equatorial trench. Her squad's names were carved into a flat stone, simple and clean. No ranks, no titles, just names. She placed a silver leaf on each one. "You were not forgotten," she whispered. The wind carried her words into the sky. That night, she slept in a small shelter built from salvaged metal and crystal. Faith curled around it like a wall, his warmth keeping the cold at bay. She dreamed of stars and songs and a woman who turned toward her when she was seen. In the weeks that followed, Kira mapped the moon, not for command, but for herself. She found gardens growing in craters, trees with bark like glass, rivers that flowed upward into the sky. The moon was healing, remembering, becoming more than it had been. She wrote logs not for report but for story. She described Lyra's eyes, Vaith's roar, the way the core pulsed like a heartbeat. She sent them to Mara, who shared them only with those who needed to remember. One day, a small ship appeared on the horizon. Not Alliance, not Krell. Unknown design. It landed gently near the southern ridge. Kira went to meet it, Vaith at her side. The hatch opened. A being stepped out, tall, slender, with skin like polished stone and eyes that held no fear. It carried no weapon, only a staff topped with a glowing crystal. It looked at Kira, then at Vaith, then at the moon. It bowed. Kira understood. It had heard the song. She stepped forward and placed a hand over her heart, a gesture of peace, of welcome. The being mirrored her. Lyra's voice whispered in the wind, "This is how it begins." Kira smiled. "Yes, it is." And so, on a moon orbiting a dying star, a human, a dragon, and a memory of the first one stood together as a new story unfolded, not of war, but of meeting, of seeing, of whispering awe into the dark. And somewhere in the silence between stars, the universe listened.